Hello, everyone. This is Melissa, and this is my take on diversity this week. I chose this photo. Not only can you see the diversity in the picture, but you also see these students walking towards something. That's how I view diversity. It's not perfect. We know the ultimate goal is to have different people of race, gender, sexual orientation, financial backgrounds. We want them all to learn in an environment. But in order to get there, we have to look towards the future, and we have to walk towards, as they are in this particular picture, towards that door of opportunity. In the readings this week, they talked about the pyramid of institutions. And at the top of that pyramid were your prestigious institutions. And at the bottom of that pyramid was your inclusive institution. Just listen to that saying. At the top was your prestigious institutions, and at the bottom were your inclusive. So at that particular moment, you're creating a culture of worth. If you don't get into the prestigious institutions, then you don't, you're less than, or you don't fit here. And the bottom, those are where all you others go. Others, right? We have to find ways into bridging that gap. That even though your prestigious institution sits at the top, we want them to be inclusive as well. We have to create a world where it's okay to be different. It's okay to have those tough conversations, because a student does well when they feel like they belong to something. And when a person or student feels like they don't fit in, they transfer and they find an institution that offers them that. The Higher Education Act of 1965, they saw that there was a need to help those students who didn't come from the same financial background in order for them to obtain a higher education. And then you had your Title IX, which is still relevant today. You know, it not only did it allow women access, but it allowed, or it prevented institutions from discriminating against blacks, Hispanics, when they wanted to obtain a higher education. You know, diversity doesn't necessarily have to be just black and white. You know, you have to think about your LGBTQ, I hope I said them all, environment. You know, it's 2020 now. You know, back in the day, it used to be hush hush, but now, even though we create a welcoming environment, but not all institutions create that. And then you have so many students struggle with their mental health because they don't have the resources, or they don't have a social community, meaning a student organization that is there to support them. So we have to find ways to close the gap. But as I was reading and I saw this, and it said, look at higher education as a linear path, with higher education being the elite and K-12 the beginning. If K-12 is fixed, higher education will be fixed. And then I had to think about that. And I thought about my K through 12 experience. And I was trying to remember if we were diverse or not. And I realized that we were diverse as it relates to ethnicity, but we weren't diverse when it came to economic backgrounds, because the rich kids, they went to the private school, and the middle class and lower income students went to the public institutions. So when I wanted to go to college, I wanted to be surrounded with all. I do remember having that feeling. I wanted to go somewhere where people didn't look like me, didn't act like me, didn't talk like me. And that was my thing. And I was able to do that. And now I think about, how did that mold me? How was my college experience? It was diverse. But was it diverse because my K through 12 was diverse? But then you have to think of other states and environments. You go to a white part of town, they may have more whites at those particular schools. So I can see how they relate. Do I think it can fix higher education? I don't agree with that part. I think we, as student affair professionals, the administrators, the staff, the faculty, we have to create that environment for students. I was watching this video on YouTube. It was Pearson North America. They had a video with testimonials from students, and it's titled "Diversity Matters." And I remember this student who stated that her going to college and learning about others, their religious background, their ethnic background, their culture, their religion, it made her want to know more about herself. Because that's what we want, right? We want the students to own who they are, to know who they are. So when they leave us to journey off into their workplace, they're confident in who they are, and they're able to walk through that door and not worry about what they look like, who they choose to love, who they choose to pray to, how much money is in their bank account. But how do we start those tough conversations? It has to start it has to start with us. We have to be the change that we want to see. So if we don't have a diverse staff, faculty, administrators, how can we expect our campus to look that way? We have to make sure that we're hiring where students can come to a university and see someone who looks like them. So they will know, I might belong here. I see what they have become and what they've made of their lives. I could do the same. So that's why this picture is an inspiration. So ask yourself this question: how can I make a difference and add towards the goal of creating a more diverse environment if you're not diverse? Or how can I ensure that every student that I come in contact with feels included, feels like they belong? Now's a good time to have that conversation. It's so much going on in the world. Sometimes you just have to slow down and say, how are you doing today? And just let the student unload. I promise you it works. So thank you guys for listening. Y'all have a good day.